taking my time, taking all your time, taking all your time.
Hey, my trendies, trendsetters, and my trendy tribe. Mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm laughing because I saw it. Let me know, let me know. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. I'm laughing because American Born said I'm still trying to catch up on all the new videos today. I don't know how many I'm gonna do tomorrow, but I knew I had like a blitz day today, okay? I had a blitz day, so I had to get the things out. So yes, check the channel because I know YouTube not gonna alert y'all to all of them, but we had a lot of Tiffany stuff. We had some Love and Marriage Huntsville cases, an update on was it Stormy today too? I think it was a Stormy one and a Marceau Scope one. So yeah, check the channel for videos and lives because I had a few on each side. A lot going on. Um, Hey Veronica Monroe. Hey Danny. The PR queen is in the building. How are you doing? Part of the Mod Squad. Uppity Unicorn, also part of the Mod Squad, and is a content creator. That's my Unisys. Let me see. My big sis Peaches and Cream is in the building, part of the Mod Squad. Hey Daphne Brown, Teresa Wright, my sweet sis 41 Fit. My calibrator is in the building. Hey, sweet sis. Also part of the Mod Squad. American Born. Hello again. Let me see here. Hold on. Hey, Gwen. Welcome back. Welcome back. Did I say hey to Teresa Wright? Hey, Teresa. Hey, April. Hey, Bama girl. How are you doing? Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. Okay, so I just wanted to say again, it is April. It is Autism Acceptance Month, and I do have art dedicated to our autistic, really adults on some, but the other one can be for kids too. It can. So shout out to my autism warriors and the family of them and all of the things. Shout out to y'all. Okay, so let's get started because I have a few different complaints to go over. So I'm going to go straight to the complaint on this one because it's more about what the woman did. So we'll go there. Let me get my screen ready because yeah, mm, she she has a lot going on. Lord, she has a lot going on, y'all. Okay, let's start. Where are we at here? Okay, so this one. I believe these are, either retaliation or wrongful termination lawsuits. So this one, I'm going straight to the complaint. Hold on. Okay, so I went straight to the complaint because the person, they might be pro se, and yeah, I'm going straight to the complaint. So it says, in or around midsummer of 2020, I was brought out from Chicago to Dolton, Illinois by a friend who promised me an opportunity that would possibly ensure a steady job. I was reluctant, yet I still decided to give it a chance, being previously incarcerated and jobless. Upon my arrival to Dolton, Illinois, I was introduced to a young candidate for mayor in the village of Dolton, Illinois. And that candidate was none other than Tiffany A. Henyard. Me and Tiffany Henyard spoke a bit, and I learned that she would, in fact, not only become the mayor if elected, but also would make history as the first African American female mayor of that village. I was inspired and emotionally moved to meet such an achieved young woman, but unbeknownst that to me that I have been recruited as an official campaign worker. That very same night and each day and night thereof, I campaigned relentlessly, walking door to door and feeling the pressures of burning out my fuel in a vehicle and had no job to replace the gas. Leading up to the final moments of Tiffany Henyard's big win for the mayor of Dolton, Illinois, and on accounts during days and evening hours of campaigning, I was regularly asked by Tiffany if I wanted to work as her personal detail once she'd won the big seat as mayor. It was flattering to be offered such an honorary position, given my questionable background and without the usual requirements, so I asked her was she serious, to which she replied, "Yes, I'm serious." Previously to Tiffany asking me if I wanted to earn $60,000 a year for working as a personal detail, we, being both Tiffany and myself, talked also about going into a greetings card business, and we were scheduled to sign an LLC through her attorney. With being our previous conversation leading up to her asking me if I wanted to work as her personal detail, I respectfully declined, pointing out that my criminal background could harm her political image and that I would be satisfied with just embarking on the greetings card venture with her instead. In the months to come, and after so much personal security and campaign work collectively, Tiffany had finally won the seat for mayor. I was asked to do security and personal detail work for her big inauguration and introduction as the newly elected mayor of the village of Dolton. Days later, she called me and said she was sorting through her transition list and said she had a high paying job for me since we agreed that my criminal background would likely cause a few eyebrows to raise in skepticism. Again, I pointed out to Tiffany, now Mayor Henyard, that I was not looking to work a job, but that I was still waiting on her and I to launch our greeting card venture. Mayor Tiffany Henyard responded by telling me that we would in fact start our business as official partners, but that she was too busy sorting through the essentials with regards to her transitional team and her overall role as mayor. Weeks later, I was called in to work as a code enforcement officer. In the months following my role working as a Dolton, Illinois code enforcement officer, there was a lot of fighting and no transparency between both the mayor, Tiffany, and the Village of Dolton's Board of Trustees. I was unfairly singled out and attacked constantly by both Fox News and Mayor Tiffany Henyard, Henyard's many unfavorable critics. Oh, y'all, this might be the one. This might be the one with the federal criminal history, the something related to. Oh, there it goes. It's coming up. It says I was demonized and portrayed as a child SCX offender who was unworthy to work or should not be given the opportunity to work as a code enforcement officer. I did not know what I pulled. I pulled all of them. The true events of my background was publicized with a one-sided narrative, which painted the picture of a monster who had been given a badge and exclusive access to residents' homes, when in fact I was a young 15-year-old troubled kid who had decided to hang around a group of fellow troubled kids and an uncle of those kids when the crime occurred. I was convicted simply for being present and played no active role in the crime itself. I was convicted because I had no proper defense and did not understand the law. Mayor Tiffany Henyard openly lied to both Fox News reporters as well as the Village of Dolton's Board of Trustees, claiming to not have any knowledge of my criminal background, which instigated the Chicago Police SCX offender unit to arrest me. I was tired and put on I was tried and put on trial for failing to comply with the state's SCX offender registry, then later acquitted of all charges. With all the bad publicity and constant mischief surrounding my background, I decided to stay away from politics. In months to follow, the Board of Trustees decided to recall Mayor Tiffany Henyard's seat as mayor of Dolton, Illinois, and she called me directly and texted me asking if I could come out to help her. I declined and she got upset. I was approached in the Village Hall's parking lot and yelled at by Mayor Henyard, claiming I wasn't loyal, and other profanities I don't care to mention. Both political influences, as well as residents and fellow employees, ushered me to go to the media and tell my side of the story, a story the mayor and her then chief of staff tried to keep me quiet about. I contacted Tom Slovic from the Chicago Tribune, and he readily gave me an interview. I told him the truth about how Mayor Tiffany Henyard lied to the media about her lack of knowledge with regards to my background, and that she would likely try to fire me for telling my truth, to which she did almost immediately after being sought out by the Chicago Tribune. I gave my interview on August 31st, 2022, and that Wednesday during my lunch break, I was called in to the village of Dolton's Village Hall and handed 2 copies of a termination paper with no signatures on either, because I spoke out to Tom Slovic from the Chicago Tribune to clear my name from public ridicule and the and the subjection of threats and dismissive language. I was targeted, humiliated, and fired from my job following homelessness, depression, and suffering. I was deprived of my First Amendment right to freedom of speech, a right which includes all Americans, including formerly incarcerated. And that was Lavale Redmond. So that was his complaint. Whew. Next level. Hey, Drea XO. Hey, TD Love. Hey, y'all. Politics is a nasty business. I can agree with that. Danny said this is giving me pain and suffering. What y'all think? Possibly. I don't know if they're gonna say what they're asking for. Hold on. Let me look off, because I know that since they're pro se, I don't know what they're gonna. Okay, here it is. Here it is, Danny. Plaintiff claims violation of rights that may be protected by the laws of Illinois, such as false arrest, assault, battery, false imprisonment, malicious prosecution, conspiracy, and or other claim that may be supported by the allegations of this complaint. Wherefore, plaintiff asks for the following: damages to compensate for all bodily harm, emotional harm, pain and suffering, loss of income, loss of enjoyment of life, property damage, and any other injuries inflicted by a defendant. Punitive damages against the individual defendant, and such injunctive, declaratory, or other relief as may be appropriate, including attorney's fees and reasonable expenses as authorized. So pretty close. T Love said this mayor is something else. I knew she was going to finally get hers. Yes. Teresa said, why can't we do right? More checks and balances at every level. I agree. Okay, so then we're going to the next complaint. Okay. Woo, y'all. I didn't realize that's the first one I was looking at. She has so many. Okay. So this one says, this is their statement of claim. The village of Dolton has been billing me fraudulently from the first bill received by charging me from a previous balance that was not mine and billing me based off fraudulent meter numbers, causing me to pay the previous balance plus my usage. The village of Dolton continues unethical practices by not sending shutoff notices or 10-day notices, allowing time to dispute the bill, and not giving any warning, shutting water off from the street to me and other residents of Dolton. The village of Dolton owes me a minimum of $109 up to $1,400 due to fraudulent billing. The village of Dolton terminated my water supply April 17, 2019, September 26, 2019, and October 30th, 2019 with no due process, and used the police to intimidate and harass me when discussing my bill on August 22nd, 2019, and September 26, 2019 at the Village of Dolton offices. That is a common theme with Tiffany Henyard. She definitely utilized the police as her personal security detail and was accused of using them to intimidate people. The Village of Dolton has not responded to my emails regarding fraudulent billing. The Village of Dolton has denied all requests to restore service from Trina Downs, petitioner, as well as paralegals from the Attorney General Office of Kwame, I'm going to say Raul. The Village of Dolton manager, San Sonny London has not participated in hearing my dispute. The village director of administrative services has not returned or made any effort to resolve this issue, nor the village administrator, Elizabeth Scott. The mayor of the village of Dolton, Riley Rogers, and the village of Dolton administrator, Elizabeth Scott, both know there was incorrect billing since 2015. Neither has resolved the issue. Neither have corrected the ongoing fraud in the village of Dolton. These attacks on my water supply, terminating service is retaliatory. Okay, so this was not when she was a mayor on these. Because I have voiced my opinion in public forums regarding corruption in Dolton and my YouTube channel exposing the fraudulent practices of the village of Dolton. Relief. State briefly exactly what you want the court to do for you. Grant an order to restore water services with a temporary restraining order. Grant a court-appointed attorney in a preliminary injunction and emergency injunction so that I will not accrue further hardships from the water supply termination. Okay. I don't know why this one pulled, because I definitely was looking for the ones with just Tiffany's name, but that does go to show before she was there, they used some of the same tactics then as far as the intimidation with the police. So Dolton has had an issue, it seems like, because, yeah, I don't know why this one came up, though. I'm just looking to see. I don't know. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I saw. Okay, her name is in this next one. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Let's get to this one. Okay, so this one, and it does have Tiffany's name in it. Yes, power hungry. Hey, ADR, Super Mayor, do what I want. Super Mayor, I can't when she says that and does that little sway dance, City Girl Mayor. That's crazy, ADR. How are you? Yes, it's crazy. Okay. Let's see. Yes, April, fraudulent billing. I know it didn't get better once Tiffany came in for that one, but let's get to this one that does definitely have Tiffany's name in it. Statement of facts. The village is a municipal corporation located within the southern suburbs of Chicago, Illinois, County of Cook. On November 21st, 2021, Ms. Montgomery was hired by the village as a deputy clerk with a starting salary of $35,000 annually. As deputy clerk, Ms. Montgomery worked under the guidance and direction of the village clerk, Allison Key. Ms. Montgomery's duties as deputy clerk consist of administrative work, including preparation of meeting agendas and minutes, responding to FOIA requests, maintaining and managing village records, meeting deadlines, receiving and distributing mail, and attending board meetings. Shortly after Ms. Montgomery was hired, village mayor Tiffany Henyard, Mayor Henyard, met with her to discuss the position. Mayor Henyard warned Ms. Montgomery, make sure you are picking the right side. Mayor Henyard intended the comment, and Ms. Montgomery took the comment as a warning to be loyal to Mayor Henyard politically. Party affiliation is not an appropriate requirement for the position of deputy clerk. At the time Ms. Montgomery was hired and continuing the present, the relationship between Mayor Henyard and the village's board of trustees had devolved into bitter political warfare. At a special meeting on December 8th, 2021, the village's Board of Trustees placed 2 referenda on the June 28th, 2022 general primary ballot. One referendum asked whether the village should enact a mechanism to recall the mayor, and the other asked whether Mayor Henyard should be recalled and removed from office. There was significant campaigning with respect to the referenda. Ms. Montgomery campaigned openly in support of the referenda at times when she was not working for the village. In December 2021, Ms. Montgomery attended a political meeting during her personal time in support of the board called Tea with the Trustees. The referenda were discussed at the meeting and Mayor Henyard was present. In December 2021, Ms. Montgomery placed a sign in the front yard of her personal residence in the village in support of the referenda. Also in December, she worked at a call center and contacted village residents in association with the board and in support of the referenda. Mayor Henyard filed petitions in opposition to the referenda in December 2021, January 2022, and February 2022. On or near February 21st, 2022, after completion of a 90-day probationary period, the board voted to approve a raise for Ms. Montgomery to $55,000 annually, effective immediately. Mayor Henyard ordered the finance department not to implement the raise due to Ms. Montgomery's political speech in favor of the referenda in association with the board. In February 2022, after the board voted to approve Ms. Montgomery's salary increase, Mayor Henyard told Ms. Montgomery that she would receive a salary increase only if she agreed to accept a new position as executive assistant. The executive assistant would report to Mayor Henyard rather than Clerk Key and would work under the mayor's authority. Clerk Key asked village admin Keith Freeman, and Keith Freeman is the one that was indicted. We went over his stuff for his bankruptcy fraud, to explain why the village wasn't paying Miss Montgomery's full salary. Mr. Freeman responded, "It's the mayor, not me." Told Clerk Key and Miss Montgomery that they should have stayed impartial and that Miss Montgomery was a casualty of war. Mayor Henyard threatened to have Mr. Freeman give Clerk Key a write-up, even though he had no authority to discipline an elected official. In May 2022, the board voted to approve an additional raise for Miss Montgomery to $60,000 annually as part of the village's appropriation ordinance. The board notified Miss Montgomery that she had received the raise. June 28, 2022 was Election Day. Ms. Montgomery campaigned outside of a polling station on Election Day. Mayor Henyard at times stood and at other times drove around to various polling stations and witnessed Ms. Montgomery working outside the polling station in support of the referenda. The residents of the village voted in favor of enacting the referenda. On August 1st, 2022, Mayor Henyard vetoed the appropriation ordinance. On September 6, 2022, the board voted to override Mayor Henyard's veto, and the appropriation ordinance became law. Despite the appropriation ordinance, Mayor Henyard continued to direct the finance department to refuse to implement Ms. Montgomery's raise. As such, Ms. Montgomery had not been paid according to the February or May 2022 raises. According to the Illinois Wage Payment and Collection Act, every employer shall be required, at least semi-monthly, to pay every employee all wages earned during the semi-monthly pay period. Wages of executive, admin, and professional employees, as defined in the Federal Fair Labor Standards Acts of 1939, may be paid once a month. The Act further provides that all wages earned by any employee during a semi-monthly or bi-weekly pay period shall be paid to such employee not later than 13 days after the end of the pay period in which such wages were earned. All wages earned by any employee during a weekly pay period shall be paid not later than 7 days after the end of the weekly pay period in which the wages were earned. The village never paid Ms. Montgomery according to her wage increases of February 2022 or May 2022 at any time between February 2022 and the present in retaliation for engaging in protected political speech and association. Mayor Henyard terminated the employment of numerous other village employees who engaged or were perceived to have engaged in similar protected speech and association in favor of her political adversaries, including, but not limited to, Matthew Stacy, Paris Dawson, Elizabeth Scott, Kashika Manning, Karen Johnson, and Lavale Redmond. Okay, and Lavelle was the one that was listed in the first lawsuit that we read that had the history with the child sex offender. As a result of the village retaliating against Ms. Montgomery for engaging in protected speech and association in favor of Mayor Henyard's political adversaries and the village's resultant willful violation of the act, Ms. Montgomery has suffered lost wages of over $25,000 and lost pension benefits. So count 1 is retaliation in violation of the First Amendment's right to free speech. Count 2, retaliation in violation of the First Amendment's right to associate. Count 3, the Monell claim. Count 4, violation of the Illinois Wage Payment and Collection Act. And then she demands jury demand. It says Ms. Montgomery demands trial by jury pursuant to Rule 38 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. And this was filed last year, May 16, 2023. Then we have another jury trial demanded. This is for Sandra Tracy. And let's get to hers. In 2016, hold on, let me see y'all's comments. Sorry. Hey, Tia P, thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for asking people to hit the like button. Danny said, she said, everybody fired, Oprah style, right? You get fired. You get fired. Yes. American born, right. Don't mess with my money. Like, don't do that. Hey, IPV, how are you doing again? Okay. In 2016, Tracy began working for Thornton Township as a manager of the Human Resources Department. On or about October 21st, 2021, Tracy gave notice to Thornton Township of her intent to take leave under the FMLA for a planned surgery. On or about February 28th, 2022, she began her approved FMLA leave and was admitted to the hospital for her surgery on March 1st, 2022. On March 3rd, 2022, Henyard was sworn in as the supervisor of Thornton Township. On March 10th, 2022, Tracy sent an email to her direct manager, Dr. Jerry Weems, transitional executive director, requesting that he assist and support her in retrieving her personal items from her office. However, Tony Sherman, the facility manager, repeatedly refused to make arrangements to unlock her office to retrieve these personal items. These personal items were finally permitted to be retrieved on March 15, 2022. However, only after unnecessary interference from Tony Sherman regarding what doors and staircases could be used. On March 10th, 2022, Henyard held an introductory meeting with all department heads. The invitation was not sent to Tracy, who was the manager of the HR department. Tracy wrote emails to her direct manager, Dr. Jerry Weems, requesting permission to attend the manager's meeting virtually. This request was denied. On March 14th, Tracy sent an email to Henyard congratulating her on her appointment as supervisor and introducing herself. On March 16th, Henyard, along with Special Assistant Keith Freeman, met with Tracy at Tracy's request. During this meeting, Henyard requested two policies, the Workplace Drug AB Use Policy and Employee Social Media Policy. During this meeting, Henyard also asked Tracy for a list of all township employees with notes detailing all their faults and any known dirt on them, quote, dirt on them, including information which may have violated the employee's privacy rights given what Tracy may have known as an HR manager. Shocked by the request but unsure how to, hey Mary, shocked by the request but unsure how to respond in the moment, Tracy told Henyard something to the effect that she would sleep on it. The following day, on or about May 17th, 2022, Tracy emailed Henyard and said she would not agree to this request to gather dirt on Thornton Township employees. On March 17th, Henyard fired Jessica Jones, assistant HR manager, and Stephanie Weedman, Thornton Township chief of staff. These terminations came with no notice, no due process, and were done at about 10 p.m. in a closed-door meeting with board trustees. The normal and appropriate HR protocol to terminate an employee was not followed, and Jones and Weedman found out about their terminations from other employees the following day. That's dirty. Hey, Teresa. Thank you for the super sticker, Teresa. I appreciate it. Let me go ahead and pop the trunk before we get to this next thing. Not finding out from other people that you fired. This woman she's something else. She is something else. Okay, we going.
All right, we going. What a money resign. What a money resign. What a money resign. What a money resign.
Hey, Queen Common Sense. Hey, y'all. Thank you for coming in. Come on in. Okay, let me see here. So it says on March 23rd, 2022, Tracy sent an email to Township Board Clerk Loretta Wells requesting information on the termination of her subordinate, Assistant AR Manager Jessica Jones. As Township Board Clerk, Loretta Wells attended the late-night private meeting in which Ms. Jones was terminated. Loretta Wells responded and said that she and the board trustees were told that Tracy was aware and already knew about the termination ahead of time. However, this was not true. On March 19th, 2022, Tracy requested a complete copy of her personnel file. This request was made after finding out that management planned to destroy all employee files and records. Upon information and belief, management subsequently destroyed all employee personnel files. On May 24th, 2022, Tracy sent an email to Henyard, Freeman, Dr. Jerry Weems, and Finance Director Robert Hunt requesting a meeting for the impending conclusion of FMLA and return to work. The email requests a response to the following: Confirmation that Tracy's position remained as HR manager. Assignment of a private manager level office in the headquarters building as she had prior to commencement of her FMLA leave. Restoration of access to all organization HR assets and work product required in the position, including full admin management authority and access to ADP, the primary human resources information system, all other digital platforms as previously assigned, and paper files, including all employee files and HR files with correspondent security protocols, like keys and digital access. Assignment of a trained and experienced HR assistant knowledgeable in HR practices, benefits management, and labor law as previously existed at the commencement of the FMLA leave. Clarification of official direct reporting relationship and continuation of current compensation benefits and position authority. Shortly thereafter, Freeman responded to Tracy via email inviting her to a meeting on June 6, 2022, which was later changed to June 7, 2022. On June 7, 2022, a meeting was held to discuss Tracy's return to work following her FMLA leave in response to her request for information. Attendees in the meeting included Freeman, that's the bankruptcy indictment person, Dr. Jerry Weems, Hunt, and Tracy. Henyard declined to attend. Freeman led the hour-long meeting on June 7, 2022, and despite Dr. Weems previously having been Tracy's designated direct reporting manager, Dr. Weems did not speak at all. The meeting categorically addressed each of the elements previously identified in Tracy's May 24, 2022 email as follows. Let me see here. Yes, she was acting up. She was. Hey, P2 Ross. How are you? Okay, let me see here. So, confirmation that Tracy's position remained as HR manager. And it says Tracy would be demoted from HR manager to HR clerk upon her return. Assignment of a private manager level office in the headquarters building as she had prior to commencement of her FMLA leave. Tracy would not be assigned to the private office she utilized pre-FMLA leave, but rather a workstation which had yet to be identified upon her return. This is dirty. Restoration of access to all organization HR assets and work product required in the position, including full admin management authority and access to their human resources information system. Their response is access to all organization HR assets would be blocked until Henyard gave permission. Despite repeated email requests from Tracy directly to Henyard, Henyard continuously, repeatedly, and intentionally refused to even acknowledge or answer the requests. Assignment of a trained and experienced HR assistant knowledgeable in HR practices, benefits management, and labor law as previously existed at the commencement of the FMLA leave. Their answer, HR assistant manager Jessica Jones, who was well trained in her work, was inexplicably fired March 17, 2022 in the middle of the night by Henyard. Or I'm sorry, this is an answer, not their answer. This action was taken with no notice whatsoever to Tracy. Henyard then transferred the compensation and work responsibilities of the fired assistant HR manager to finance director Robert Hunt, a longtime political ally of the supervisor who had no HR background. Hunt's salary instantly increased from $116,000 to $190,000. This left only one other HR employee, Anthony Butler, an intern with 3 months tenure and little experience. Clarification of official direct reporting relationship. Freeman announced in the meeting that Sandra Tracy would be assigned to report to the township attorney, James Vasili. Continuation of current compensation benefits and position authority. Compensation and benefits remain the same. Position authority would be totally eliminated. Not only was Tracy no longer a manager, she had less authority than the 3-month tenured HR intern. Access to human resources system ADP would continue to be denied for the time being. Woo! Okay, the meeting concluded with Freeman promising to follow up with an email the next day with further clarification on reporting to Township Attorney Vasili and as well as a workstation office assignment. The following day, on June 8th, 2022, Freeman failed to follow up with Tracy. As such, Tracy sent a follow-up email to Henyard, Freeman, Weems, Hunt to document the discussion regarding the changed circumstances of employment from June 7th, 2022, as well as follow up on her remaining questions to be answered. This is dirty. Wow. TD Love said demoted just because she was on FML leave and she didn't follow inappropriate commands. Right. Where they do that at? Right. However, neither Henyard, Freeman, Weems, nor Hunt acknowledged, answered, or replied to the email despite all receiving and reading the email per return receipt notifications. Because the administration failed and refused to assign Sandra Tracy a workstation, she was forced to work from home. When Tracy offered to work from the public lobby, she was instructed she could not do so. I don't know how Tracy's still offering to work anywhere in this building. I wish I would offer to work in a public lobby. Eventually, Tracy was locked out of township office building. During this time, Henyard restricted certain village and or township employees access to village and or township buildings. It was common for Henyard to retaliate against her perceived enemies by doing so. Part of this retaliation also included being threatened by Henyard's 6-man armed personal security detail. As such, Tracy was afraid to come inside the building for fear of further retaliation or even being arrested. When Tracy asked her previous supervisor, Dr. Weems, if she could come inside the building, she was told it would be better if she stayed outside and talked to anyone with whom she needed to meet outside. As such, at all relevant times between June 7th, 2022 and September 14th, 2022, Tracy either worked in her car, in the township office parking lot, or from her home. On June 12, 2022, being unable to officially clock in and out of work due to not being able to enter the building, Tracy began submitting her hours via email for time card payroll processing with detailed notes. At the time, although Henyard's administration performed an organization-wide reclassification of the entire workforce, Tracy was the only senior manager that was not reclassified as exempt. I would have quit at least twice. At least twice. Yes, Pinto Ross said EEOC needs to be filed. I agree. This is crazy, Drea. Yes, and TD Love said no, ma'am. Insane. Goodness. As such, Tracy was required to provide her hours worked along with a report of work that was done for Freeman's approval, even though Freeman had completely stopped communicating with her after June 7th, 2022. Freeman failed to acknowledge or respond to these emails. Prior to her FMLA leave, Tracy had been a member of the South Suburban Economic Development Corporation steering committee in a county-wide initiative to expand and improve adequate housing resources for employees of major employers in the region. On June 21st, 2022, SSEDC sent Tracy an email regarding the steering committee. A committee meeting was being convened to address critical issues regarding initiatives being created. Tracy responded by inviting the SSEDC consortium chair to connect with township management, Freeman and Hunt, to get direction on the township's continued participation in the consortium, since no one from Thornton Township management was speaking with Tracy after her FMLA return. After seeing Tracy responded to the SSEDC, Freeman and Henyard scolded Tracy for her unprofessional and unauthorized emails to the SSEDC. Between June 25th, 2022 and August 12th, 2022, Tracy began sending emails to G. Gonzalez, the township payroll coordinator, detailing her hours worked. Yes, that is smart. Documentation, yes, and organization. And good on her for going outside of somewhere else to send her hours worked. Tracy was then instructed to begin manually punching on a time clock in the township office building despite being locked out. Oh my gosh. This is not real life. In order to do this, Tracy had to sneak into the building and punch in and out. The audacity, Danny. The audacity. Every instance that Tracy snuck in and out of the building led her to feeling tremendous anxiety of retribution if she was caught inside. Beginning August 1st, 2022, Freeman stopped approving Tracy's time card, resulting in a loss of pay. See, Queen Common Sense said, Houseway, do you punish her for having a medically legitimate leave from work? Right. And I think it's more about that finding dirt on people. Oh my gosh. From August 1st, 2022 through September 14th, 2022, Thornton Township failed to pay Tracy. The township's failure to pay Tracy was highly consequential and detrimental to her mental health and well-being. Tracy provides full support for her husband who has been seriously ill for years and is near terminal. The lack of pay was devastating to Tracy. Now I understand why she was like, I'll do however I got to do because I just got to make sure, like, probably her benefits stayed, everything, because she wanted to make sure probably no gap for how she cared for her husband. Oh, y'all dirty. I hope that FBI finds everything they were looking for. Furthermore, during this time, Tracy could not even collect unemployment compensation due to still being employed by the township. On August 14th, 2022, due to the stress of dealing with the circumstances surrounding her employment and lack of pay, Tracy suffered a myocardial infarction, or is it, I don't know if it's probably infarction, heart attack, basically, a heart attack. On September 6th, let me stop real fast because this is how I be saying, don't come to my channel talking about why are we criticizing a black woman leader when this black woman leader is over here causing people to have heart attacks, demoting them and then bullying them and everything else. Don't ask me no dumb question about why I got one of those dumb questions, y'all. I did. I'm sorry. And I hope, well, no, they wouldn't have known me for long because they wouldn't have asked me that question had they known me in my channel for long. They put one of them questions under Stormy's video that I did. I was like, if you don't go and you ain't even got to Google, the suggested videos under my video are going to tell you about Stormy and how she is with her customers. I get so tired of that mess. I support the black customers. I support the people that are trying to support the black businesses. Yeah, P&T Ross said I would have contacted the Department of Labor also. TD Love says, see, I couldn't. They would have seen. Oh, 1 second, y'all. TD Love says, see, I couldn't. They would have seen another side, and me and Henyard are meeting outside. Right. Uppity says, scandalous everything. Miss Lay said, that's crazy. It sounds like a Tubi movie, Gwen. If you mess with FMLA, isn't that federal? Well, it depends on what you're saying if you mess with FMLA, because they didn't take it. They did those things that make it horrible for you when you come back. So I don't know if FMLA, if they technically touched it, but I do think, like P&2 Ross and everybody is saying, Department of Labor, Equal Employment Office, everything you can think of, go tell them. Leah's grandma, she's been replaced with the Chicago DA due to her being investigated. Oh, snap. Okay, Mary. Thank you, TD Love. In this economy, it's unconscionable messing with people's money. I agree. Right. She done lost her mind, Mary. Yep. She lost her mind. Okay. This woman had a heart attack from the stress. Let me see. Okay, on September 6, 2022, after being fed up with what was happening at work, Tracy sent an in-depth email to Freeman inquiring as to why she was being ignored, mistreated, and not paid. Freeman did not respond. On or about September 9, 2022, Tracy sent an email to Freeman, Hunt, and Anthony Butler, the HR intern, demanding to be paid per Illinois Department of Labor wage and hour laws. In response to her email, Tracy was referred to Township Attorney James G. Cecil of the Delgado Law Group, LLC. Upon information and belief on September 13, 2022, in closed-door meeting with the Board of Trustees, Henyard decided to terminate Tracy. Upon information and belief, Henyard lied to the Board of Trustees in this meeting and said that Tracy was aware of her impending termination beforehand. On September 14th, 2022 at 12:51 a.m., Tracy received an email from James G. Cecil, Township Attorney, that her employment had been terminated with no other information. In response thereto, Tracy sent a response email back requesting a due process hearing. However, Tracy never received a response. As such, Tracy was terminated without a pre or post termination hearing. While employed with Thornton Township, Tracy was a dedicated employee that enjoyed the work she did, and she planned to stay with Thornton Township for the remainder of her career. Tracy had worked hard to earn and maintain a good personal and professional reputation as a public servant, and as a result, enjoys a good personal and professional reputation as a public servant in the community. As a result of the termination at the hands of defendants, Tracy suffered humiliation, shock, and grief, as well as emotional, reputational, and economic harm, and medical harm. So count 1, violation of the FMLA against Thornton Township, Henyard, and Freeman. So shout out to American Born. That is in there. So you called it American Born. Hold on. Oof, I'm going down for the other. Count 2, 14th Amendment retaliation under 42 U.S.C. 1983, denial of procedural due process against all defendants. Count 3, common law retaliatory discharge against all defendants. Count 4, violation of the Fair Labor and Standards Acts against all defendants. This is ridiculous. Count 5, conspiracy under 42 U.S.C. 1983. Count 6, common law intentional infliction of emotional distress against all defendants. Count 7, the Illinois minimum wage law against Thornton Township. Count 8, tortious interference with prospective economic advantage against Henyard, Hunt, and Freeman in their individual capacities. And she demands trial by jury, which I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. Okay. I didn't see a prayer for relief, so yeah, trial by jury on that one. We have another one. We have 2 more wrongful terminations. Drea said, "This is how this black woman is treating other black women. Air her out." Right. Somebody get her away from the pink slips. Let me see. TD Love said she didn't think they would ever fight back. Now she's being investigated. I agree. I would own that city and never have to work again. Right, PN2 Ross. Right, American Born. They just everything. Okay, this is another one. This is Karen Johnson. She also demands a trial by jury, and we're going to get to her complaint. Okay. Johnson began working for Dolton in or around May 17th, 2021 as an administrative assistant in the Public Works Department. As an administrative assistant, Johnson was responsible for receiving and responding to customer service phone calls and visitors to Dolton's Public Works Department, providing information and directing to appropriate staff members. Johnson did most of her work on a computer while at her desk, a computer terminal which was also frequently used by other employees to place lunch orders. While employed with Dolton, Johnson was a dedicated employee that enjoyed the work she did, and she planned to stay with Dolton for the remainder of her career. Johnson has worked hard to earn and maintain a good personal and professional reputation as a public servant, and as a result, enjoys a good personal and professional reputation as a public servant in the community. Henyard was elected as mayor of Dolton on April 6, 2021. In her first year as mayor of Dolton, trustees of the Dolton Village Board accused Henyard of spending public funds without board approval, violating policies regarding hiring and firing employees, using village police as personal security, and ignoring freedom of information requests. Henyard was also accused of a conflict of interest after she was elected in March 2022 by the Thornton Township Board to serve as a township supervisor. As such, in April 2022, the trustees of the Dolton Village Board initiated an effort to recall Mayor Tiffany Henyard by voting in favor of placing 2 referendums on the ballot for the election on June 28, 2022. The referendums would have enabled the recall of Henyard. Both referendums passed on election night, but results were later found invalid by judicial rulings. At various times between April 2022 and June 28, 2022, election for the referendums, Henyard asked Dolton employees to campaign on her behalf and go door to door and make phone calls to Dolton residents while at work during work hours in an attempt to persuade Dolton residents to vote against the recall efforts. Johnson refused to campaign for Henyard while at work as she felt it was unethical and improper. So there it goes. She refused to campaign for her. April said it's crazy how hard it seems to put people like this out of office, but if it was one of us on our jobs, we're immediately fired. Oh, in the sense of like outside of politics. Mary said that's outrageous. Yes, and she is running it like a dictatorship. I agree. Okay, so since Johnson refused, it says after losing the referendum, Henyard began to engage in retaliatory actions towards many Dolton residents, business owners, employees, and the Dolton trustees. While employed with Dolton, Johnson developed personal relationships with many of her fellow coworkers, including Lavale Redmond, who at all times relevant herein was a code enforcement officer with Dolton. On October 21st, 2021, local news group Fox 32 Chicago began airing live news television broadcasts and publishing online stories on its website about Mayor Henyard and the ongoing operations within Dolton City Hall in Thornton Township. The first of these stories, published on October 21st, 2021, detailed how Henyard hired Redmond as a code enforcement officer. In 1991, while still a minor, Redmond was charged with aggravated SA. Redmond subsequently served 24 years in prison. Public outrage about Redmond's hiring led Fox 32 and other local news groups to investigate the ongoing operations within Dolton City Hall and Thornton Township and begin reporting on their various findings. Most of these stories have been about Henyard's questionable use of taxpayer funds, including, but not limited to, lavish spending on trips and dinners, private security detail, and even donations to her own charitable organization. Since the negative stories about Henyard began being published, Henyard and her closest allies within Dolton and Thornton Township, including Freeman, have terminated the employment of several individuals they feel pose a threat to Henyard and her public image, amongst other internal reasons. The stated reasons for these terminations are usually pretextual and contrived, while the real reason is usually malicious, paranoid, and based on some kind of perceived fear of disloyalty and or risk of bad press for Henyard. As such, Dolton has a well-settled and widespread policy of retaliating against employees for their speech and or associations, terminating the employment of employees if they posed any kind of perceived political risk to Henyard. One such retaliatory discharge was of Redmond on August 3, 2022, following the bad press he garnered Henyard following Fox 32's extensive coverage of his hiring. Following Redmond's termination, on August 4th, 2022, Johnson began searching the internet for stories on Redmond, Henyard, and Dolton while at work. Johnson's purpose was to assist her friend Redmond by looking further into the matter with Redmond and Henyard, as well as other matters of public concern within Dolton. Johnson's intentions were also to share the stories with coworkers in a show of verbal and nonverbal support of Redmond, as well as in an effort to look into Henyard's behavior as an employee of the village as well as a taxpayer in Dolton. On August 11, 2022, Johnson was abruptly terminated by Freeman for allegedly violating Dolton's employee policy and procedure manual section statement of policy for use of village computer resources, use of the internet due to her searching the internet for stories about Henyard. Other Dolton employees frequently use the internet at work for personal reasons but were not terminated for doing so. Dolton's employee policy and procedure manual includes policies and procedures on progressive discipline, including verbal warnings, written warnings, suspensions, demotions before final termination. However, these policies were not followed by Dolton. Johnson was terminated without a pre-termination or post-termination hearing. Before I go to the next page, TD Love, everybody does not belong in office. What about some Black businesses supporting their Black customers and stop price gouging? Take their money for an item, yet never send the item. Customer service is middle finger salute. Right, ADR. Like, no, you can't tell us to shut up and take it because it's a Black business. Like, don't do that. It gets worse the more, yes, the more I read, it gets worse. American born, yes. So true. Okay. As a local government employee, Johnson was a member of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. Dolton is a signatory to an agreement between Dolton and AFSCME. Johnson was terminated in violation of the AFSCME agreement. As a result of her termination, Johnson suffered emotional and economic harm. After her termination, Johnson requested and received her personnel file from Dolton's HR department. After her termination, Johnson filed a claim for discrimination with the Illinois Department of Human Rights. As a part of this claim, Dolton produced Johnson's personnel file, which contained 2 false write-ups from June 22nd, 2022 and July 18th, 2022. These write-ups were created after Johnson's termination and were not legitimate. Woo! Count 1, First Amendment retaliation under freedom of speech. Count 2, let's see, I know she got more than one. First Amendment retaliation under 42 U.S.C. 1983, freedom of association. Count 3, 14th Amendment retaliation under 42 U.S.C. 1983, denial of equal protection. Count 4, 14th Amendment retaliation under 42 U.S.C. 1983, denial of procedural due process. Count 5, common law retaliatory discharge against all defendants. Count 6, conspiracy under 42 U.S.C. 1983. Count 7, common law intentional infliction of emotional distress. Count 8, violation of the Illinois Personnel Record Review Act. And she demands a trial by jury. Oh, and let me look at who is the one for the HR manager that had the heart attack. I just wanted to see. Okay, this is Matthew R. Costardo. Yep, they're with Matthew. They're because when I saw their case numbers, there were 3 consecutive case numbers. It was case 02126, 02127, 02128. So I'm gonna look at the third one, but these first 2 that the last 2 I've read so far, they do have the same law office. So that's I'm very happy for them. I am actually very happy for them. I'm glad they did it together. So yeah, because that's Matthew R. Costardo. This is Matthew R. Costardo, and we can go ahead and look at the last one and see. But that font, though, I feel like, yep, Matthew R. Costardo. Yep. So those last 3, they're with the same law office. So this is the last complaint that I have. This is not the last complaint filed against the mayor. This is the last complaint we're gonna go over tonight. This is also, I'm sure, wrongful termination. So this is Samisha Williams. And we're going to go down to her. Okay. So Samisha began working for Dolton on or about July 10th, 2019 as a code enforcement officer. In or around August 2019, Williams became a permit licensing clerk with Dolton. By December 20th, 2020, Williams became the director of the Building Permits and License Department until August 3rd, 2022, when Williams' employment was wrongfully terminated. While employed with Dolton, Williams was a dedicated employee that enjoyed the work she did, and she planned to stay with Dolton for the remainder of her career. Williams had worked hard to earn and maintain a good personal and professional reputation as a public servant. Henyard was elected mayor April 6, 2021. In her first year as mayor, hold on, I'm not going to read this again. Okay, y'all know she wasn't doing nothing. She had her personal police security detail ignoring FOIA requests. Y'all know, just hiring and firing people left and right. Okay, we're going to get down to her, Tanisha's experience. So hold on. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna read it because she has it in a little bit different wording. It says, after losing the referendum, that's the recall, I believe, Henyard began to engage in retaliatory actions towards many Dolton residents, business owners, employees, and the Dolton trustees. Some of these retaliatory acts included, but were not limited to, Henyard explicitly instructing all Dolton department heads not to respond to FOIA requests by Dolton trustees. This was done to get back at the trustees. In fact, Henyard would openly tell her employees, "We're at war with the trustees." Additionally, before regular village board meetings, Henyard and Freeman held mock Zoom meetings in which Williams was instructed to practice muting the trustees when they were speaking during the meetings. Y'all, she had them practice muting people to make sure they couldn't actually say what they had to say. Danny said, "I'm going to hire everyone she let go." I'm so done. Yes, American Born said, sounds like these other women threatened her in her own mind, right? The paranoia and not understanding. It sucks because you definitely need to understand the politics of the fact that they cannot be for you politically and they still deserve their job. ADR says, "Super Mayor, I do what I want, or I do what you want. Treated these employees and trustees like trash, sickening. Her personal police detail was about 8 to 10 real cops. Only duty was to dog walk her behind around 24 hours. Yes. Miss Lady, I agree. She was a terror to those employees. I agree. It says, further, Henyard instructed Williams to withhold permits to Dolton residents and business owners unless they donated to Henyard's campaign. There is a bar in another business that I saw that if another day, obviously not today, but we can go over where the businesses sued her outside of the church. There was another business that sued her, and it's probably because they couldn't get their permit because they didn't, support her or donate to her campaign. Yes, it is very hard to get city jobs, American Born. I agree. It says Williams refused these orders by Henyard and Freeman, and she continued to properly process FOIA requests as they came in, did not willingly withhold permits in exchange for campaign donations, and refused to mute trustees during regular village board Zoom meetings. While Williams did not willingly withhold permits in exchange for campaign donations, oftentimes she could not issue permits to Dolton residents and business owners due to Henyard and or Freeman refusing to sign off on applications. This will help the church, because the pastor Redeemed Church was trying to get his stuff and he pulled out all the zoning codes for zone B1, 2 and everything, and this is exactly this person trying to say I still kept trying to approve them, and Freeman and Henyard kept preventing it. Furthermore, a Dolton business owner, Rucker Holdings Inc., who sought to operate a cigar lounge in Dolton, filed a lawsuit. Oh, that was one of them. Filed a lawsuit against Dolton, Henyard, Freeman, and Williams, with Williams being sued in her individual and official capacity in the Northern District of Illinois Eastern Division on April 6, 2022, over the village's arbitrary refusal to issue permits in connection with his cigar lounge. Neither Henyard nor Freeman ever told Williams she was being sued in her individual and official capacities, and Williams had to find out from another employee much later after the fact. After refusing these orders by Henyard and Freeman, Williams was transferred to the water department by Freeman in April 2022, despite Williams still being the director of the building department. The alleged purpose was to be cross-trained by water department director William Moore until further notice. On April 13, 2022, Williams saw that Carmen Carlisle, an employee within the building department, was struggling to accomplish her work since Williams had been transferred. As such, Williams offered to cover so Carlisle could take her lunch. When Moore discovered that Williams went to relieve Carlisle for lunch, he demanded that she leave and return to the water department. Williams refused and told Moore that the buildings department was still her department and she had every right to make decisions about her subordinates' lunch breaks. Further, she told Moore that he was a peer as a fellow director and could not give her orders or directions. When Williams refused to leave the building department, Moore disciplined Williams by issuing a formal oral warning to Williams. Williams submitted a letter in response to the oral warning to Janice Johnson, Director of Admin Services and Human Resources, and copied Henyard, Freeman, and Moore the rebuttal letter. In her rebuttal letter, Williams indicated that it was unreasonable to be disciplined for covering her subordinate's lunch break, especially when it was never communicated to her that she could not leave the water department and go back to help the building department. Williams also asked that the disciplinary action be stricken from her record. Woo. TD Love said now she went beyond out of control. She's bribing people for votes. Yep. And and intimidating them to give her money so she can campaign. Like take their money so she could, have her campaign funds. That's crazy. Due to the stress and retaliation at work, Williams began to experience anxiety, depression, and difficulty sleeping. Furthermore, during this time, Williams experienced the passing of her mother, her grandmother, and both of her in-laws, as well as going through a divorce. Whew. As such, Williams' doctor recommended she take a short leave of absence from work, recommending intermittent leave on a week-to-week basis. On or about June 2nd, 2022, Williams gave notice to Dolton of her intent to take leave under the FMLA. Williams was subsequently approved for FMLA leave. On or about June 7th, 2022, Williams began her approved FMLA leave. While on intermittent FMLA leave, Williams' doctor, Franciscan Health, sent weekly doctor's notes directly to Dolton. On July 1st, 2022, Williams returned to work for 1 week in the water department. After working from July 1st to July 5th, 2022, Williams resumed her intermittent leave on July 5th. On August 2nd, 2022, Williams' doctor sent Dolton an extension letter which extended Williams' leave until August 10th, 2022. On August 3rd, 2022, while at home on FMLA leave, a Dolton police officer came to Williams' residence and gave her a letter from the village of Dolton indicating that her employment with Dolton had been terminated effective immediately. However, the termination notice contained no reason for the termination, nor did the letter contain an author or signature, nor who to contact for more information about continuation of benefits. Upon receiving the termination notice, Williams emailed Freeman to inquire if the letter was real or some kind of joke. In response thereto, Freeman simply confirmed Williams' termination was valid. As such, Williams was terminated without a pre- or post-termination hearing. As a result of the termination at the hands of defendants, Williams suffered and continues to suffer humiliation, shock, and grief, as well as emotional, reputational, and economic harm. Ooh, wow. So let's just look at the counts that they're for this one. But yeah, shout out to the law office that's handling these cases. Count 1, violation of the FMLA against all defendants. Wow. Oof. Count 2, 14th Amendment retaliation under 42 U.S.C. 1983, denial of procedural due process. Count 3, common law retaliatory discharge. Count 4, conspiracy under 42 U.S.C. 1983. Count 5, common law intentional infliction of emotional distress against all defendants. And she demands trial by jury. So shout out to the Castardo Law LLC office. Right. She says this Photoshop, y'all, and these were all filed, I'm pretty sure on the same day. March 13th, 2024. March 13th, 2024. And March 13th, 2024. So the 3 that are with the same law office, yeah, they filed on the same day, which I thought because it was consecutive case ID numbers. They really need to learn employment laws. But they don't care. They just want to be there for the clout of it all. Like they seem like they weren't doing anything that actually had to do with their jobs. Not the people suing, the people like Henyard, Freeman, and them. Like they were just collecting the checks. It's very cruel, Peaches and Cream. Yeah, this is current. Thank you, Teresa Wright. I appreciate that. Thank you. And hey, Miss Z. Woo, y'all. Okay. A lot going on. So, yeah. That was a lot. So, we're gonna stop there. I'm gonna take my breather for the night. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, it's going down. Please check out the other videos I did today. I've been trying to play catch up, so please, excuse me. Please check those out when you get a chance. Exactly. Henyard wants popularity and money. Right. That's what she wants. Exactly. She should have became an influencer and not in a political office. Hey, Shan. I'm about to leave too. Dang, Shan. Well, I don't know if you heard it if you were in the bushes, Shan, but the last 3 wrongful terminations are with the same law office, and they filed on the same day. Her catchphrase is "Super Mayor, I do what I want." Got you. Got you, Eddie. Okay, y'all. I will see y'all later. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here for this reading. You know, these are ones that they're tedious, but they're informational. So I appreciate y'all, and I'll most likely see you tomorrow. Bye.
I've been taking my time, I've been taking my time. Taking all of your time, taking all of your time.